Everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today it's a Patron Live! So I'm really excited about this. This is part 2 of Bird in Flight. We're going to really be focusing on the flowers. I'm going to show you some cool kind of energetic painting techniques with dotting for the flowers that you're really going to like. We're going to work on pushing some out of focus flowers to the background, pulling some middle flowers into focus, and putting our front flowers back out of focus. So we're going to actually create a mid-range of focus in our piece. So this is part 2. Part 1 is linked into the newsletter that I sent out to you guys as well, with materials and traceable other information that you need. General reminder, if you're here watching this, you have, if you are in this level of patronage, you have access to all of the past Power Patron lessons, and you have access to every other lesson that we have that we offer, which I haven't counted them up, but I think is getting quite significant. So be sure and look around, because there's been a lot of projects and a lot of things. They're pretty amazing. I'm going to try to put something together so you guys can kind of really see what we have done so far, because I think it's getting to be substantial. I don't know. We've been doing patronage for a minute, so
yeah.
Now the collection is getting kind of big. I really enjoyed this very out of focus background. I'm very excited about doing flowers today. I see a lot of people in saying hi to each other. Donna Cox is saying hi to everybody. And I've got kind of my example brushes that I know I'm going to be using today out. And we're going to start out with a scuffly brush for the background. So I'm going to take this number 8 Cambridge. And the reason I'm choosing this is because it's got hog bristles. Now, if you've ever bought one of these Cambridges and you paint with it for a while, you'll notice that unlike the Art Sherpa red handles, which are, you know, as long as you reshape them and clean them, they're pretty much the same shape until they blow out or the ferrule falls off. But these will wear down as you go. I don't have a really worn down one yet. Just know that's very normal, and that's because the hog bristles will break down as you paint. I've already started to reshape this brush over its course of time. So that's just something important to know. I'm going to get the brush wet. I'm going to come here and start putting a little bit of distant flowers. So to get my gray today, I'm going to experiment with the idea of using, I have ultramarine, burnt sienna, phthalo green, zinc white, titanium white, and cad yellow. I'm going to be putting out fluid white later, and I'm going to experiment with this idea of far away flowers in gray, with this gray, and not using any black. So I'm coming here to the titanium white at first. And I'm going to come back and we're going to just see how that brushes out. I'm using the corner. And what's nice about this is that'll keep it pretty diffused. The other reason I do the gray is that any colors in the background that far away, even if they were white, they would be in shadow. There would be different values. Things wouldn't be as saturated or vibrant. And so you've always got to be kind of ready to keep stuff in that space. I'm just tapping little loose, out of focus. And you can kind of see that these bristles do a great job of out of focus.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing little bits of different colors and different things. Now, you know, when we were painting the other day, let's do a little brighter, because if you look through the mid-range, it gets a little lighter. We definitely put a lot of our pre-work for this in. And I think it's a good idea to take it slow. My brush pressure is, you know, pretty light. I'm working the corner of my brush. You could do this with any bright, though, that you had. And it's okay to take some of this into what will be your tree stump, because that's going to let you make that tree stump seem very integrated into your landing owl's world. I'm going to add more white to lighten the value. And you can see that as I do that, that lets me lighten the value, but I still have lots of room for it to go white, and you want that. Kind of tapping out some slightly harder edges, but not everything hard edged. We still want it to be very out of focus. So we're building that up. Just a matter of building it up. I'm looking forward to the little range of flowers that are a little more in focus. Very much. Just putting those out. How is everybody doing today?
Pretty good. I think this is something we're all very excited to come and see. I see a lot of friends here. I see Karen and Callie and Linda and Katie and Tina and Diane. A lot of our moderators. Donna's here. Tina and Katie.
Thank everybody for the support in the Art Sherpa patronage. It really does help us quite a lot.
Oh, it is amazing. And what I can tell you is that this is like the patrons are the wind beneath our wings.
Truly, they really are.
It's so in the next few days, because now there's some like some secret stuff out there. But in the next few days, we're going to hopefully announce to our patrons about the projects that are in the works, and it's so exciting that I just have to wait until the contract for this one little piece is signed so that I know we're going to have product by this Christmas. And if that is true, then I'm going to tell y'all first. And you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing."
That's the sauce of awesome there.
It is.
Sauce of awesome. Awesome. Continue to pull a little white into that gray. Let me wipe off on my towel so there's not a huge amount of pigmentation as I'm tapping up and down. And John can really, I don't know if you can like show them how this like brush is moving around.
I think I can. I gotta get over there and then.
No, but it's just kind of like a little.
Ooh, push that focus
out. Making little wiggles.
There it is.
Little wiggles. We really have to leave room for it to get quite bright as we go forward. I'm super excited. You know what? I'm just ready to finally have done will be the acrylic April.
It's
We've had to buy a lot of equipment. We like got some equipment and they were like, "Oh, nope, that's not going to do it."
Okay, so this is what happened. Like we started out making books on consumer equipment. Like the stuff that you and I could get off of Amazon. And we quickly realized like in the first 5 books that was not going to work. So we got probably what you call professional business solution stuff. And again, just fell short. Then we upgraded to used commercial copy grade equipment, which was a huge mistake. Not that like wasn't learning along the way, but boy, buy a used Mercedes, BMW, Volvo, insert German electronic name, car of your choice here. And, after 10 years, those things start showing little problems. Boy, does used printers show problems after like 10 years. Like
seriously.
Wow. So.
But luckily,
we learned more.
We got some headway, and John's really been, informing himself in this. I'm going to take my phthalo green and my burnt sienna and kind of mix those together loosely, and I'm going to get really into my pad yellow. Makes quite a bright color, even though you toned it back with the brown. I'm kind of come in here and work some of that brighter joy here. Still keeping that light scuffly little paint. I'm very excited to be moving forward on this.
Yes.
I'd be really happy to finish the Red Queen. Should have just done her all and then released her. Next big project, I'm just going to pre-film and then release. Lessons learned. I'm going to get a little white onto this is the zinc white. And if you remember, the zinc white will lighten without substantively changing the hue of the paint. Why we bother. I like getting some of these lighter greens in here. Just lightly dusting. You can just see I'm just wow, just almost glazing toning. It's like, it is a true scumble here that's happening to get these layers. I like the sound of the brush on the canvas.
Yeah.
So too much maybe, but I do like it.
I like it.
Coming through here and making sure we got some. Nice next layer. Next level, next layer, sir. You can see this is why you know get some wear down on your brushes over time for sure. Now I feel like this area needs to be even darker, so I'm gonna just grab. I haven't even rinsed out, but I'm gonna grab my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue. They're gonna make a nice dark color. I'm gonna come here and just make sure that this has some of those deeper values that we might be looking for in this space. As you're painting, you will often look and be like, oh, that needs to be a little bit deeper in its value set. I'm glad I really like these action wildlifes.
Yeah. I like them too. I'm sipping my coffee.
Are you sipping your coffee? I'm scumbling my brush. I am though.
I can't blame you.
Too much white. I was just scuffling my brush into the palette so that it you can see I'm just deepening that value. I'm just saying, all right, what do we need in that space to really, really see it? Karen Scott, she says she loves this. Well, if you guys are up for it, when we get through this one, there's some bare ones that I really wanted to do, and I didn't want to rush through it. Because on YouTube, sometimes we rush through things, don't we?
Yeah.
Gotta have to, a little bit. Like, we certainly don't let any dust get on us as we cook along. Even when it's a 3-hour painting, at a relaxed pace, it might be a 6-hour painting. You eat a little snack, drink a little coffee, look at it for a minute, get up, walk around, but not on YouTube. So it's really nice to be able to do these pieces and enjoy doing them in these, landscapes and stuff like that. We get the easel set back up. We might even get into some big landscapes and everything again. It's just fun to do. Not that I don't bring it I'm going to bring a number 4 Cambridge into the mix. I'm going to go ahead and get it wet. Not that I don't, I think, bring some pretty serious biz, to thinking about how I want to do this mid-range. I think I'm actually going to go into my angle brush and then go into my Cambridge. So I'm going to get my 1/2-inch angle wet, and we're going to mix our brown and blue together, making a dark color. It's not quite a chromatic black, but it's certainly a chromatic gray. And let's see if we can't make some of these little more designed out stems that are surely sharper edged and more in focus. And we're going to really exaggerate some of that. In art, think of the reference as the suggestion, and then take all your skills and amplify it past what a photograph would give you or do. That is the trick.
There we go. Now I can see that a little better.
Yeah. I like angle brushes. They create nice thin lines. Pretty easy to use. I've got a little 1/4 inch as well. The only thing I would say is off about the ultramarine burnt sienna mix is that it can be a little transparent. That's just something to watch for. And the reason for the little stems is so that you can put some very in-focused flowers.
Mm.
Got a really great poll going on the Art Sherpa page today. If you're not familiar, I have my personal page. I'm a Cooney. Woo! I don't know. I'll put thoughts up there. And then I have my groups, many of them. Tazo is probably the one you're most familiar with in the Patron group. Tazo being the Art Sherpa official. There's a page, a Facebook page, the Art Sherpa, and on it there's a poll right now for tonight's watercolor. After we do our live today, I'm going to go make some traceables. I'll make both traceables so that we can reveal the winner of the poll in the class. And I know I said I was going to do pumpkin, but I had just done the pumpkin for my patrons, and I was kind of like, yeah, I did a pumpkin. So I want to do a landscape. Sometimes it happens, you know?
I know.
I think that's a nice little bit of twiggles. I'm going to go ahead and put, even though they're not there, I'm going to put a little bit of twiggles here. Twiggles are an important technique and skill. Sometimes people get really stressed out at their twigs and branches.
Oh, you keep going over to the side.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm going back between screens, and I'm looking at chat, and it's like, oh, just have to catch you.
I really want to exaggerate this sort of mid-range of focus.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to do that is get some, stemmage in there. So when I have the mid-range of focus, then I can come back and get into a little bit of my zinc and titanium white mixed into it. Definitely not my pure white. It's got a little blue on it. And so these flowers will have harder edges. So if you'll notice, these are diffused edges. The ones that I want on focus will leave those edges hard.
I'm going to come over there and take a look at that.
This is a mix of my zinc and my titanium white. I feel like the half tone is of value, but it's not necessary if you don't have the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm just capturing a hard edge of the generalized shapes. These hard edges, these extra details will be what pulls certain spaces into the focus, into the depth of field. Cameras have very specific depths of fields that you set.
Mm-hmm.
Your eye has its own depth of field.
And it's much harder for us to see our own depth of field because our eyes move around and our brain builds a full resolution image of everything we see. So even though in the snapshot of the moment we might have a depth of field, we don't generally perceive it because our motion builds the entire image in our brain. Does that make sense?
It does. I think that's a great explanation of it. I am
Really?
here building out these hard-edged flowers. The tapping up and down motion. I guess I'm getting a little more into the titanium white. Got a little of the ultramarine blue on here. And I'm stamping the brush up and down, just kind of creating some hard-edged flowers. They're pretty, aren't they?
Yeah.
Hard-edged flowers. And it's nice to have a little bit of these stems, which are identifiable as definitely stems. If you enter juried shows and you're painting traditional constructs, right? Like you're painting flowers or landscapes, you will find outside of local art leagues, it's a little hard to get recognition or placement in those shows.
Mm-hmm.
on traditional subjects, right? They tend to be a little discounted. And one of the ways that you can get a juror to come back and look at the work again and examine it again is playing with depth of field and scale in an unexpected way. I used to talk to John all the time about doing the horses, that it was a much harder subject matter to do for traditional fine art track because people paint horses. They're considered highly commercial. Because, and what that basically means is that somebody might want to buy your painting.
Gotcha.
When artists, your work's very commercial, I'm like, thank you. It's not really meant as a compliment, but it is, because otherwise, why hang it in the gallery? Like, if it's not commercial, the gallery can't sell it. They can't pay their rent. I can't pay my
That's
rent.
right.
It's got to be commercial. And if you're going to do fine art for a living, it better have a little bit of a commercial nudge to it in some way, in some construct.
Right.
Otherwise, you're that starving artist everybody makes fun of.
By commercial, that is a bad word that means people want to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I would be as commercial as possible.
My mom is the queen of commercial. As a little kid, she would be like, well, how are you going to sell it? I don't know. I just thought we put it on the fridge. First, perhaps. But it is an important thing, and I think it gets lost in things. So when you do traditional, more commercial stuff, and you're still trying to do a fine art track in galleries and things, then you do want to do things like you either have to paint at such a skill level above everybody else it kind of floors all the other artists and shuts them up, or you do something in the way that you express yourself on the canvas that's unique, that speaks singularly to you, and that voice attracts and pulls people in as well. So it's just an interesting thing that nobody ever really talks about, that difficulty of a working artist path.
Yeah.
You know, those things that we struggle against. You know, and I've said it before, like in jury moments, like if you go into a peer jury thing, if someone's like, your artwork's very illustrative, almost 100% of the time, if I look at their work, they're struggling with their drawing skills.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times what they will attack you for, it's not abstract enough, you know, or whatever it is, it's an area that they're struggling and that they're looking for, and they're applying their own personal art goals to your thing. But again, it's just about finding your voice and your space in whatever subject matter you are participating in. Does that make sense? Sometimes when I think on this stuff, I don't know if it makes sense or not. I should probably do one of my short videos, 12 things you need to know if you're going to exhibit your artwork.
I keep reading chat, and you're drifting off on me.
Okay, I'm going to start back up over here.
Where at?
Actually, yeah, I'm going to start back over here.
To the left or the right?
To the left, I think.
Okay. You say you're going to start back over here, and then you brush your hand across the surface.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm just looking to see if there's a thing. I'm going to use yesterday's traceable as a makeshift palette for while I'm over here, because I don't want to travel very far with my paint.
You can do that.
Thank you.
You can.
I just don't want to get it on the thing. So I'm going to put out, this is Fluid Acrylic by Golden. Of the fluid paints, I really like them in Holbein.
Okay.
Of the fluid paints. Holbein has a nice little bead inside of it, so you can redistribute. I'm going to take my dotting tool and using pure white paint, I'm going to dot the flower. It is not necessarily a fast process.
But we can see it. See?
But when it's done, wow.
So you're going to be here a minute.
Mm-hmm. That's why today was just the flowers. Sometimes you need to do just the flowers. And that's why I wanted a piece of paper to have to put the paint out on. I may even have another one that I tear and then put on the surface.
Ooh.
I don't want to travel far is what it is.
No, that makes sense.
You're not going to be a problem for me. Maybe I'll double fold it so it's definitely safe. So I'll go there and do it as well. When I get too far out, I'll switch. So probably if you're going to use this method where you move, I also have a ring. You can get palette rings that you can put paint on. I don't know where my Hello Kitty palette ring is, but you can put the paint on the ring and then you can use it to keep your dotting space near enough. As you're dotting, though, I got to say, don't forget the shape of the flower. You can't dot in a shape that doesn't have anything to do with the flower. So, pay attention to your references and go, does this reflect the shape or character of the flowers that I'm painting? It's important stuff. I know, quiet time. We could almost have piano music going. The Art Sherpa dots.
I don't know.
5 hours of relaxation dot painting. Honestly, though, right now I could probably use it.
Yeah.
Callie Beasley, my teen is home online only because Oregon may have low case counts, but very, very tough to return to school. The school metrics that are statewide, my school is able to utilize an exception because we're small. It's crazy. I have to tell you, as a parent in this situation, man, you're just trying to make a good decision for your kid and your family. And because this is the first time, let's be honest, this is the first time that we've done this as a country, and we're working it out, and none of us know yet. Like, if this were, thank goodness it isn't, let's all knock on wood, our third or fourth or fifth outbreak of something that shut us down, we would be like, we know what the deal is, but we don't know what the deal is. And gosh, man, it is just hard to know. I am grateful for my art time. On the November 1st to the 7th, I was just like, man, I just need a break from all of this.
Yep.
It's not that I don't need to be an adult and pay attention. Of course I do. I just need a break. It's just the stress of it has been immense for me. That's looking kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. Now, I know this is, bear with me, it's a little wasteful, but that'll make it easier for me. Okay. You can see I use the bottle to, if John shows you overhead, he can show you overhead. So I use the bottle and I'm going to just drag that across, and that'll let me do these nice heavy applications of paint. And you can kind of see, isn't that gorgeous? How that creates that little sense of flower. You could do this with a toothpick if you did not have my Galaxy tool. If you haven't bought the Galaxy set and you want to get a kit, wait, because the next kit will have the Galaxy set in it probably. John's like, thanks, sweetheart.
No, we're trying to right now get them.
Yeah. We want the Galaxy set because it's really good for snow, and we're going to use it for the 12 days. Kit, and I'd like to be able to have lots of little snowflakes and landscapes and things. We're going to do that. I like how I can build a shape and then come back and, even like, ooh.
This is just lots of little dot.
I know, it's very chill. If you wanted to come and hang out with your friends and chat and watch dots, we got you.
We got this.
And I'm only quiet because it's calming me. Is all it is. It's just very much calming my brain.
This is a very calming thing to do.
It is. This piece, I my daughter, my eldest, certainly tries to break me of any gender specifics. Goodness gracious, this generation. But I have to say, I'm going to make a general gender statement, which is you'll find a lot of men will really appreciate these wildlife paintings a great deal. We have he paints now more often, I think, with my mom, but Cyril Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to paint with me, but I'm too girly in my painting.
Ooh.
And weirdly, my mom has been accused of being a very male painter her entire art career. I remember a very famous mural artist walking up to her, watching her paint, and just in the most spectacular, misogynistic, yet still complimentary way possible, just going, "You paint from your gut. You paint like a man." Just like, just sitting there with your brush going, "Cool, cool, that's awesome. Good for you." Glad you think so. But I do think that there are, let's be honest, I think sometimes artwork does have kind of maybe a soft feminine feel, or certain topics do tend to appeal more to women than to men. And I love doing it's, I can always tell when I've done a painting on YouTube that appeals more to a broad audience. Like all of a sudden I'll see Andrew Tischler's people. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're all, and he has mostly a male audience. So I'll know. One, because they're going to compare whatever I did to whatever Andrew did. And then, like, I don't know that guy. Like, when am I going to call him up and be like, "Hey, what about this technique?" Anyways, but also just that I'll see the spike of male viewers. Because I run about 20%. Not a huge number. Mm-hmm. But when I do wildlife, I definitely see that. And when I used to sell my artwork a lot, if I really needed to sell pieces, this is terrible. If I really needed to sell pieces, I do a lot of these very wild animal badger, like an action, because that is always going to sell.
Yes. Thus, this action bird we're looking at.
VW bugs or camping vehicles out camping in the wild. That also does pretty well.
What if I put a still life in our backyard? We could just put a VW bus back there, and I could let some flowers grow on it, and you could just.
You're so mad at our neighbor.
I think we could put.
Oh my God! I'm going to out this. So we
fountain.
have a neighbor. We have big property right now, so we have some space. But this neighbor's been kind of a crazy butt about the easement. And not fun about it, and not respectful of our space, and having parties that are over the limit, and doing all this stuff. Very frustrating. And we've been like, my husband and I have been like, you realize you're messing with artists. We will respond creatively. Like whatever response you think you're going to get, right? He put up his political signs like right up on our property, and I hate political signs. And so
we don't have any political signs out.
We don't do political signs because I just don't want to do that to somebody's driving space. Like people have made up their minds, and I just want to let them go do their thing. But he did it because he knew it would upset us.
Right.
Like for a fact.
But this is the thing, is that
wait till he sees all the Sasquatch statues going outside. That's how we respond, with squatching.
Well, so here's the thing: is I was feeling very nervous that I wanted to put up like one of those really beautiful 30-foot windmills with the beautiful colored tines that are all rainbow colored with the big fin off the back, and that they actually spin because we get enough wind up here.
Oh no, I grew up with one of those.
And so, but I didn't want to necessarily infringe my gigantic pastel windmill on
his face.
But if I gotta know what your opinion is, maybe you gotta know how I feel about color.
And Sasquatch. And planted VW bugs.
And maybe a VW bus or two.
And the playscape we're hoping to build. So
I'm just saying, be nice to your neighbors.
Don't mess with artists, because again, when we respond,
don't stir up an artist.
Don't do it.
It's not like a. Now,
I'm moving over on the other side of the stump.
My other friend, who is also, I would say, he's clearly of opposite political affiliation, but he and I get along fantastically. Has totally not a big deal. Doesn't care about anything.
Very
Like,
nice neighbor.
we talk about smoking meat, and
Because you can do that. We can all agree on the smoking of meat. Let's just keep it there, shall we? And so, yeah, this neighbor has definitely been. Oh, and I think he put up a camera to make sure we don't drive on his road. Which, by the way, we weren't driving on his road.
it's just like
It's
It's not-
the mail lady, and I have no control over the mail person. The mail person, I have no control over. They do what they want to do.
And so this is, I mean, like, gosh, guys, this
I've
is
given
such a
them no
it's a whole
specific
of
instructions.
crazy. You guys get to hear all the crazy.
Yeah, that's what patronage is. Come by, see me dot 1,000 dots, and
yes,
hear all the crazy in my
yes.
life.
Yes, garden gnomes. I would, if anyone would love to send me garden gnomes,
All the garden gnomes.
all the garden, we'll put up. So you guys don't know. I'll just, can I tell them about the website? I don't know if that's a.
Yeah, you can tell them anything you want. They're patrons. That's
Okay.
the privilege of what they
Okay.
do is they get to hear everything, especially $35 patrons.
So here's the
Power
deal.
patrons get to know all the things,
We
right?
have a domain called gnomish.com, and we have a whole bunch of gnome products coming down the pipeline. And so the Gnomish house can, like, if you guys had gnome yard decor that you thought should be taken photos of and put in beautiful places, I think we have a place that we can, as a community,
Right
come
in
together.
the view of my bougie neighbor's eye line.
No, that's not my goal objective. I want to
I'm
decorate
just
my-
saying you can hit two objectives.
It might be.
Two
Look,
objectives are possible.
gnomes
Let's keep
have,
dotting. I'm sorry. I kind of dotted into my tree. Sorry.
Gnomes
I
have
got
splash
so
damage.
dotting excited, I dotted right into my tree.
Gnomes have splash damage.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, you can't go a gnomon without some gnomon happening.
True.
Like, everybody gets gnomed.
I mean, I like gnomes.
Like gnomes on a wall.
I like gnomes. You know
And-
I like gnomes. I keep painting them.
Then see, you surprise your gnomes by filling them with concrete before you put them out there.
So they think they can take the gnome.
Well, so if somebody like comes by to kick the gnome, they find out said gnome is tougher than they thought.
Again, artists. Oh, Patty Hoffman suggests pink flamingos as well.
Well, see, flamingos are okay.
Oh my God.
That was their last house.
Linda has vampire flamingos.
Yeah, they were in the garden.
They're in the garden right now. The vampire flamingos like give me life.
Yeah.
I just kind of let her do what she's going to do because it's just so funny. I have to like to wait and see. You never know.
Yeah.
How are you
So,
liking our
anyway,
dotty flower technique?
This is what you guys get.
I mean, I guess I could have splattered it. This is so much more controlled. And the little round dots just have such a specific look, I feel. It's just totally awesome. I put this other paint over on the other side and then did not use it. Sorry, we have this like burst of talking, then nothing. Because the dots calm me.
The dots are calming.
They made me calm for my neighbor.
Very nice.
And to be fair, I'm not a fan of billboards, just so y'all know.
Yeah, no.
I don't like that visual noise.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in France, I really loved that there weren't billboards, and most of the signs that were out there just didn't mean anything to me mentally. And so my mind was so super calm when I was driving, and it was really spectacular and just my favorite.
all the little dots.
I keep taking this away, but I really need it. You need the paper weighted.
That's okay. You can make it so.
We dotted, guys.
You dotting.
And then we're going to dry because we don't have time for the dots to just fully cure out. And then we'll finish our little out of focus flowers again.
Mm-hmm.
That will be sort of fun. And this will be one of those pieces that when people look at it, when they look at it on your wall, and I think about this a lot, your guys' experience, because I've had a lifetime of this experience where people ooh and ah about something that I did, and I totally, it's a wonderful feeling, right? It's just a tremendous feeling. So sometimes I know a little bit about the kinds of things that you can do in a painting that get, you know, your company that comes over or family members to ooh and ah at what you did. And this little dotting thing will be one of those things where like, how did you do that? Mm-hmm. Where you get a lot of like really yummy, delicious, wonderful compliments, which I believe everybody deserves on their art.
I like all the little dots.
I do too. Makes me super happy. And then I'm going to look at it overhead and then I will finish it out. You would think I'm done. It would be reasonable to assume that. But there's some final little touches that you kind of want to hit as you're going. You want to make sure you got a certain kind of effect. So first you've got to kind of get in your basic dotting and then you try to come up and make sure that you've got dotting, especially on your upper line, that comes a little bit outside of the little puffet. These little bits of in the air are necessary. And you kind of randomly fill those in.
Yeah.
Where you just make sure that what you've got speaks to that. Because Queen Anne, this is like a Queen's Anne lace. You know, it floats. It's like clouds in the grass. And Lynn and I were out driving. We were like looking at cattails that had popped, and we couldn't decide if it was cotton, cattails, or what. It ended up being cattails that were just really far in the season. But that idea of these little floating clouds was really quite engaging. All right, let's look overhead.
All right.
Yeah, that was no work at all.
That was pretty.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So then we're going to finish out. But the issue about finishing out is we've got to do the diffuse layer. We've got to get the branch in. So I'm going to put out a little black.
All right.
Or not totally in, like we can finish it out later, but we just need enough of it in to be able to layer. And put out a little black. It's a very gray branch, which is terrific. I love that about it. I'm going to go ahead and start out probably, I'll start out with my number 8, Cambridge. In a very, very dark.
Oh, that's coming in there.
I'm doing little rough brush strokes because it's going to be rough. All right, and you kind of get that general rough dark shape in. Rinse this brush out. I'm going to move down to a smaller brush. I am going to dry.
Okay.
I will put this palette away so that it when my drying doesn't dry all my paint that I don't want dried, and I'm going to dry only the paint I do want dried.
Oh, hey. So, gosh, so much to tell you guys about. But, first, just let me say thank you guys for coming hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We love seeing you guys. It is really amazing. You know, you heard me just sort of go blah, 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 blah about all the exciting stuff that we have going on here. But there's a lot of cool stuff, and we appreciate it because you guys make it possible for us. You have no idea how much. Oh, she's moved the palette away. Okay. But yeah, you guys have no much how much we appreciate it. And gosh, we would just super appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for coming. Don't forget, don't use heat. You know all the reasons why, because it messes up your paint, does all sorts of crazy stuff. Also, when you're doing this, you do have to take a little extra time to thoroughly dry the little dotty dots, and that's because sometimes you get a little pocket inside of uncured paint, and if you use heat, it's a little molten lava ball of paint that's underneath there. So, and because heat makes everything flexible, it doesn't work as well. So, just don't use heat. You know the drill. So, okay. That feels like, yeah, we should. Oh, there's lots of cool stuff coming in the store coming up. I told you about that earlier. I'm hoping to have a couple announcements in the next few days, so that maybe the next Patron Live like this, I'll have some more secret stuff to tell you guys about. I'm going to try to keep that coming to you guys first. But yeah.
I just realized something.
What'd you
I
realize?
dotted all the flowers.
You dotted all the flowers.
I did. I dotted them all. I was like, dot them all. Forget the out of focus ones in the background. Dot them all. I did. I dotted them all, which pulled them all forward. But that's okay.
That doesn't seem bad.
It's not bad. It looks okay. Sometimes I'll look at them, but like evaluate, and I'm like, am I unhappy with that? And I'm like, nah, I'm not in any way unhappy with that. So I will continue going. I'm going to take my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna together. This time my zinc. And I'm going to begin to paint a very rough aspect of what is bark on a branch. These are little short brush strokes, and the brush strokes sort of imply what the object would be made of. So we're just going to continue that. A little bit of the zinc white. That is minorly lit up, right?
Mm-hmm.
This will let me do some of that wonderful underlayment for bark. Can't paint the front flowers until the tree is painted in.
Gotcha.
And that kind of stuff always sort of applies and matters in some kind of a way. Maybe some dark black. corner of the brush, just thinking of the different barky textures.
Hmm.
Now you don't have to be too detailed down here because you've got flowers in front of a lot of this, but having it somewhat thought out will definitely impact you.
Mm-hmm.
Only some of it's got to be in deep detail. Now I can go forward. I can get into my titanium white, which, as we know, will then have much bigger impact. And work the corner of my brush. What's wonderful about this branch is the bird isn't even on it yet.
Oh, yeah.
About to be on this fabulous piece of wood. Very much enjoy this.
Mm. You get all caught up in your work.
I do. It's nice on these days. It's very calming.
It is.
Ron's there to chat with you. Just doing work.
Just talk to the guy over there by the camera.
Just talk to the camera guy. So yeah, we're just going to continue to pull that little bark texture through. We're thinking about it, right? It's a nice, interesting little space that we have going on. I may come and get my number 4 round involved. Do some interesting things. I might load up my ultramarine blue and black, thinning it with some water. And then come here and speak to this little crag in the wood. That initial crack.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe speak to some of the cracks in the bark.
Yeah. Quite nice.
Yes, it's just quite lovely. Just little wiggling lines.
Mm.
And I try to look into the paint and kind of see if there's already some stuff that I have just almost by sheer luck kind of painted in, and then ask myself, can I exaggerate that moment into the tree that I've already started to speak of?
Yep.
Like you do. Trees are quite colorful, even when they're not. No, there's lots of fun little lichens and things that you've got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
That are surprising.
Yeah.
You can kind of touch those and think about those a bit. Playful in your wood.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
I like how you're not using like brown.
Mm-mm. We could,
It could.
but that wouldn't be what color the tree was. A lot of times they're very gray.
Yeah.
The aging of the wood, the weathering of it creates that really specific. Playing with the contrast. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now I will dry that again too because I don't want it to go over everywhere.
Okay. So, thank you guys for coming and joining us. You know, it's we get so many of these little breaks that I have to be careful with the, like, you know, I have stuff for you to each time talk about and don't have to be like, oh yeah, you already know about like drying paint, don't you? So I should tell you something like, I should have stuff like, you know, the calendar. It's got a whole bunch of cool stuff that Cinema's doing all at the beginning of next month. So
Oh, so exciting!
definitely check that out.
Are you bragging on my next month plans?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take a little of my green and brown together. And sienna. Got my 1/2 inch angle brush. I could do. I might even get some of my ultramarine just to deepen it. We're gonna do an interesting thing. We're gonna come here and paint this interesting texture of plant.
Okay.
So in any wildflower field, right, you'll have different textures of leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using the shape of this brush to speak to that. That's peaking here in that middle range. Still kind of in focus. And if you look at the reference, you can see what I mean there. Here and there. Playing into that will only help your field seem more finished and resolved. And we'll wrap up all of the flowers and everything today.
Mm-hmm.
And then all that will be left is the wonderful detail of this owl flying.
Mm-hmm. I hear him. I should go maybe chase that.
You can. That might be me.
I think that is you. I'll be
Probably
back.
scam likely. They call me all the time. I'm just adding these little kind of almost like a rosemary shaped leaf to the space. I'll get more heavily on my green. Yeah. More heavily into my green here. And I may have to get into my titanium white to really create that little offset gray. So against the dark values, I will be offsetting a little bit of the green gray. The little silver areas are where this is more in light. You can come and get a little more of your deep green and balance those against each other to play. But we are talking about, you know, leaf diversity, I guess is what I'm saying. So when you're landscape painting, sometimes it's important to remember leaf diversity, huh? What was it? Okay. The mail in the rain?
Yeah, all of the honey's birthday present was out sitting in the
Oh.
rain. So I figured I would fetch it.
Just balancing out these little wild leaf shapes. Got those in.
Where are you? Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, got those in and back into our scruffy brush.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And our gray. And let's begin our nice out of focus flower painting again. Just only painting out of focus flowers. And these flowers remain out of focus because I will not dot them all.
Mm.
as I was I thinking. And they're also going to be quite actively over our stump.
Right.
Isn't this a nice little floral scape that we did today?
Yeah. Very nice.
You will not paint this type of scenery again the same way. You'll have a whole set of skills that will surprise you and the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
It will be very much like, how you do that? And you'll be like, it's just how I am. How I am.
Yep.
Now, as you go forward, everything is, rinsing out a little bit, make sure the brush is there, and reload my gray, which is my ultramarine, and my burnt sienna makes a beautiful gray. Get into my titanium white. And if this has worked well, what you'll have is depth of field that is in that middle range. It is very distinctly in that middle range. And I know we think a lot of autumn as having like all these fall colors, but a lot of times in a lot of regions, these white blooms are an end of season bloom. When they go to seed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's wonderful to be able to play with that. Gotta move my thing out of the way to see how my painting's going.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I use my screen as a way to really identify my space. Since on the sitting area, I can't like back up. Oh, I want to say, we have a Roku channel. If you guys got the newsletter, you might have seen that we have this Roku channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that 11 people gave us a review. So if you're one of those 11 people, thank you so much. It was so surprising to find out that I had reviews that I could look at. It's a good time now to maybe pull some twigs and stuff back into the thing. So I'm going to get my 1/2 inch angle brush. Maybe I'll get my smaller angle brush just so I have a little more control. This is a 1/4 inch angle. Get a little black blue. And to make sure that's flowing off my brush well, though. I'm adding some water to it so it flows out. These little lines are just about the bits of twigs and stuff. Is everything okay with the school?
We're okay. Lots of things happening.
Yeah. I'm sure many of the people are in hybrid or full-time or all home, so they understand about calls from the school. I wanted to make sure I had a very nice little set of twiggies too.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and get maybe just some of my Here's ink. I'm looking for, trying to make flower shapes. So I'm observing my reference to be aware of my flower shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to lose those. And I may even come back and kind of imply some distant ones here. Since I got so enthusiastic about focusing those middle range ones. Give myself a little distant flower. That'll help as well. The zinc is really good for that.
Mm-hmm.
And a distant sense of things. And then up, like soft up close. That way, when we do come in with, like, say, a strong titanium white, building it up.
Yep.
Okay. Just watching the chat. What brush is that? I was typing and missed it. So I have a 1/4 inch angle, I have a 1/2 inch angle, and I have my Cambridge right here. We got a lot of note takers. I love that. I'm a note taker, so I get it. All right, now we're going to get into our titanium white. I may pick up just a smidge of the blue, just the ultramarine blue. I still want it to be pretty bright. A little more sharp, a little more in focus, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
More so because of the value than anything else. It'd be so fun to do his wings.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost done, guys. Probably a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just playing. What do y'all think?
I think this is great.
Well, you're always on my team. Just like my kids were like, you gotta say that you're my mom.
Well, I don't have to, but I enjoy it.
I think this will end up being one of your favorites. Because you love action birds.
I do. I like them.
It's not a puffin, but, you know. I feel like that's wonderful. So if he comes in fully into focus,
Mm-hmm.
I think what we'll find is that the whole piece comes together in a really spectacular way.
Yeah.
So this is how you get to there. Those are those techniques. How you guys have learned how to diffuse some stuff. You guys have learned how to pull some stuff into sharp focus. You guys have learned how to control your depth of field. I don't want to call it a master class, but it's certainly not something you would see in the regular run-of-the-mill lesson world.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully some of these techniques and concepts and ideas really pulled stuff together for you guys. And you're excited to play with it. This technique is incredible for mustard or rapeseed. Those fields of yellow, and then when you want to pull some forward, using a diminished yellow and then using the dotting technique for that is just, it just has a big wow factor for everybody. So I highly recommend, putting that into your toolbox of things that you like to do in your art journey. Thank you so much for your support. John and I could not do what we do without you. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.